Okay, we're going to jump in here. I want to talk to you today about the topic we're all thinking about. But really, this is what I want to start with. 5 things that you are likely to experience during this time. Here's the first one, and I see this all the time as a career coach. I should say this first as we're setting this up. My work primarily is to help millennials develop careers they love and work inside of companies as a generational consultant to manage the differences between generations. And you can imagine, we've been talking about remote work for years. And now, right now, we're in the midst of this time where we're all remote working, whether we're ready for it or not. And so I've been having this remote conversation for a couple years. So I wanted to bring to you what I've learned as a career coach and as a consultant inside of organizations. Some of the things I'm going to talk about today, you would experience if you did remote work during COVID outbreak or just during normal life. And so hopefully, as we talk about this, you'll find comfort, understanding, education, as we talk about what you're likely to experience in the next few weeks. The first one for sure is overworking and then underworking. This is classic because we're all trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. What are we supposed to be doing? How do we manage our time? Our team's not with us. We're trying to figure all that out. So you might find yourself some days finishing the day and being like, oh my gosh, I got so much done. I don't know what to do with myself. And other days you might be like, did I get anything done? How did I end up on Netflix? I don't understand. So you might be experiencing both sides of that. The next one is new distractions. Anyone doing child care while they're trying to write emails? Kids at home? Anybody? You will probably have new distractions that you will be navigating. One thing that we did is we actually tied a ribbon around our fridge because our biggest distraction is Snick Snacks. And so we're working on making sure to eliminate, the types of things that are at home that we wouldn't normally have at work. The next one is maybe you'll be feeling confused about what the heck you're supposed to do. That would be very common when you're used to having a team and doing this together. That you might have moments where you're feeling confused about what you're supposed to be doing. Loneliness is a huge one. This is the one that I'm hearing the most, primarily from my clients, is that they're concerned about this type of isolation. And everybody's talking about being socially separated doesn't mean you have to be isolated. And, we're living in a new world where we're not grabbing breakfast with our friends and we're not grabbing coffees. So we're going to talk about how to overcome that. And then the last one is maybe you're just having fear about getting sick, about economic collapse. For each one of us in our industry, we could have a really good reason why we're worried about this and why we don't have what we need. And so maybe financially, or maybe you're worried about, when these statistics keep coming out about COVID, it's kind of scary to not know if you're going to be one of the people that gets sick. So we're going to talk about all these things today, the behaviors that you can adopt to make this easier for you and make this as pleasant of an experience as we possibly can. I want to do a little quizzy quiz with you. I love these. I want you to, on your fingers, just count how many of these you can relate to. This is going to measure your readiness of remote work. So the first one is this. I know exactly what needs to be done each day to stay on top. If you say, yeah, I'm really good at that, I know exactly what needs to be done each day to stay on top, give yourself a point. The next one, I'm setting up a daily routine with regular breaks and not sitting for more than 4 hours total. Oof, that's a tough one. If you can give yourself another point, there you go. Here's the next one. I'm already resourceful when issues arise. When you were at work, how resourceful were you? I'm curious if this is something that you find that it's naturally easy for you to do or if it's something that you struggle with. The next one is I'm able to create an environment that's distraction-free. How confident are you that you can create that type of environment that's naturally distraction-free? Give yourself your points so far. So far, the most points you could have is 4. Here's the next one. I know who to call when I'm stressed or confused. How clear is it on your team who you're supposed to be calling, who you're supposed to be talking to if you're stressed and confused? The next one, I'm confident in my tech and communication skills. I'm curious how confident you feel with that. Give yourself a point if it's true. And the next one, I've worked remote before and I find it rewarding and enjoyable. Okay, add up. You could have up to 7 points right now. Here's what we're finding. If you have less than 5 points, 4 points or below, you are going to feel the stress of this new lifestyle. If you have less than 4 points, if you got 5 points, 6 points, 7 points, This might be a wiggle for you, but you're probably feeling okay. So just for yourself, that's just a check of any time that you're doing something you've never done before. It's normal to not feel confident, to not feel sure of yourself, to not know how you're actually going to perform. That would be absolutely normal for you to be feeling that anxiety because you're doing something new. Imagine tomorrow if I was like, hey, we're going to go, we're going to go ride bikes on a stony path down a steep hill. If you're a mountain biker, you would love that. Everybody else would not feel confident. That's kind of what we're dealing with here. If you've never done it before, if you don't have these skill sets, it would be normal to be nervous about it. So we want to hear, I'm going to open up the chat too. What are you most concerned about? Hit us up on the chat. I'm going to answer some of these questions as we go. Hey, Sam, will you compile a couple questions for us? Awesome. One thing that somebody asked is, will we be sharing this presentation so we can get it to our companies? Yes, I will make sure that you get a copy of it. Sam, we're recording this. She made sure we were recording it before I even walked in the room. So we will be able to get you a copy. What people are most in a worry about? Yes, social interaction, not slacking off. Yes, managing an all-remote team. Becky Gleason, we're going to come back to that. We're going to do a separate webinar about how to manage people when you're in this spot. Feeling trapped and isolated? Yeah, absolutely. Time management, actually learning material. Yeah, Lori, who's in college. We're also going to do a separate webinar for you about what it's like to have to deal with this in college. This is great. I'm so glad y'all are sharing. We need to be able to have these conversations, so I'm so glad all of you are jumping in. Anything stand out to you, Sam, with what people's concerns are? Amber, hi Amber Gerard, maintaining sales. Yes, when I can't meet with referral partners, absolutely, that would be a real concern. What's standing out to you, Sam?
Yeah, it looks just like the overload and the underload and it's too much information, but also feeling like not enough. So yeah, just probably the overwhelm altogether.
Absolutely. Okay. So this is what I want to say to everyone has all these hesitancies. Guess what? None of us are going to do this perfectly. I know many of you on this call. I've seen your faces today on Zoom, and I know what high achievers you are. I know you expect a lot of yourself. And here's the thing, we're not going to do it perfectly because we don't do it ever. And we're going to all be wiggling and figuring it out. Lisa and I both, as speakers and keynoters at events, we are wiggling like crazy, trying to figure out how we can add value right now. So we're all in that together. Expect to learn as we go. Expect to be wiggling. And we're all going to have to course correct. That's just part of this game. And as a career coach, I will tell you that the more compassion that you can pour on yourself these next 2 weeks, the more understanding you have for yourself and for your team, the more you will actually be able to progress and get through these weeks with some quality in your life, to actually feel quality of life. Here's the bottom line. Our basic needs are very destabilized right now. I mean, honestly, we couldn't get toilet paper yesterday. Our basic needs are very destabilized. Let me remind you, which I'm sure you all know about this, Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, right? What's at the bottom of Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs? Physiological needs. Food, security, shelter, water, toilet paper, right? Our basic needs, our health, are being challenged. Look up next, safety needs. So we right now, as a nation, are in the bottom of Maslow's pyramids. Sure, it would be nice if we could be like, let's take this time to self-actualize. I've always wanted to be a sculptor. Here's my chance. We're all too stressed out. Right now, the chances of you being anxious and creative, that's two totally different functions in your mind. It's very hard to do. So in this time when we're all talking, breathing, speaking, hearing about safety needs and physiological needs, that's where we have to have grace and compassion and understanding with ourselves that we are all just figuring out our basic needs, and this is not going to be the time where you maximize your potential. That's just going to be really hard to do. Please lower your expectations of yourself. Know that you need to take care of yourself through this. So let's talk about, since you took the time to be on this call, let's talk about 5 things that will help get you through the day, okay? The first one is obvious. You're all going to be like, obviously, we need to outline the schedule. We can't just go with the flow. But it'll be really easy when you're still in your sweatpants to just want to chill and figure it out. But really, if you take 10 minutes and prioritize your day and outline your schedule, that'll help. This is what I'd love for you to do. If you have a piece of paper you can grab, is to write down what has to get done just today. What do you have to get done just for today? Can you take a minute and write that down? I really want you to get the most out of this seminar, so me just blabbing at you won't really do that. Take a minute and write down the things that you need to get done today. Okay, you got your list? Now look at how long will each task take you. Just take a rough guess, okay? 45 minutes, an hour, and I want you to go with the mindset that you're going to be mildly interrupted. So if you're usually like email takes me 30 minutes, give yourself a little cush, okay? Give yourself a cushion. How long? Okay, now this is the next step. All you high achievers who took time to come on a frickin' teleseminar during your work at home hours, listen, please do one task at a time. How many tasks at a time? 16. Just kidding. 1. We are already at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. You are in your primal brain right now, wondering, we're all in this space of like, how are we going to get through this? I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Trying to multitask is not going to work. If you're trying to make a paper mache piñata while also checking your emails, doing your laundry, making a roast, you're going to drain yourself. So can you do one task at a time? We actually know from neuroscience that the brain hates multitasking anyways. It doesn't really work. You really only are doing one thing at a time and then another thing at a time. You might be jumping back and forth all day, but that's exhausting. So see if you can do one task at a time. And then this is another productivity hack. It really doesn't have to do with remote working, but it's super helpful, is to cluster together like activities. So say you're like, I gotta sort all my emails, and I have to sort my paper mail, then I have to sort, great, do all your sorting at once. Now you have to do a bunch of replies, do all your replies at once. As much as you can cluster together like activities. If you have to get into a creative mindset, say you're in marketing and you have to figure out how to, market something in a new way, you're coming up with a new plan, take a minute and get all your creative stuff together and do it all together. As much as you can cluster your activities, that will also help your brain. I know that's hard if you have kids at home because you're like, actually, I just have 4 minutes to do one thing and then I got to take care of the kids and do another thing. If that's the case, please, again, give yourself grace and understanding, because this is not, parents, I know this isn't how you want to work. No one is like, hooray, I get to manage everything in my life all the time, all at once, every minute. I know it's not easy. As much as you can do this for yourself and your schedule, you'll feel better. Here's the second one that we're all dealing with and that we can create a better behavior around, is to create a distraction-free environment. This is your chance to clear it out. So look around your room with me right now, will you? And just check out, what do you see right now? What clutter do you see? Maybe your TV's on. What chores are around the house? I'm like, ooh, this would be a really great time to wipe all the windows down. And, okay, we all are going to get into that space. So look around, what things are distracting you. Then I want you to go to your body and feel for a minute. What's the temperature of your house? A lot of us put our thermostat to drop while we're not at home. Maybe you're chilly and you're like, now I just want to snuggle up within my favorite blanket. Oops, now I want to watch a movie, right? There's things in your house that trigger relaxation that will feel comforting but will make it hard to want to work. Think about the clothing that you're wearing. If you usually wear a polo shirt to work, or say maybe you do just wear jeans and t-shirt, but if you have a normal thing that you wear to work, put it on still, because your brain will tag we're in work mode. And then here's the last one, where do you sit? Sam and I were talking about this today even, because the way that we typically sit at work, hopefully you have a more ergonomic setup, but right now we're like sitting on the couch, crunched in, right? Or we're sitting at our dining room table and we're hunched over more than normal. See what you can do. There are some hilarious desk hacks going on right now as memes. See what you can do to create a desk that actually will work for you, that will help you kind of keep your body in line so you're not feeling crunched all the time. It's so fun. Sam and I were just talking about this. She works remote for me. We see each other once a week. Obviously, we usually see each other today. That didn't happen. But we were talking about, like, when you sit on your couch, it seems like such a great idea. And then like 4 hours later, your hips have aged 30 years. So make sure that you're setting yourself up to be comfortable. So look around We're doing a lot of activities today. It's so important that you actually do this for yourself. What's one thing you can add or subtract from your environment to help you? We're going to jump to the message board. We want to see what everybody says. I bet we'll see some themes. What's one thing you can do, add or subtract from your environment to help you? Subtract Netflix. Excellent. Get a second monitor. Yep. Big pile of laundry. Yes. Make the bed. Somebody mentioned the Pomodoro technique. That's exactly what we're talking about. Google Pomodoro, like the tomato pasta, Pomodoro sauce technique, okay? Julie Goldberg says don't snack. Exactly. That's why we tied a friendly looking ribbon around our fridge to say like, hey, we're actually working right now. We're not having another apple. Okay. This is great. Brian said, close the blinds in my office. Yes. So every time a car drives by or somebody walks their dog, you don't get distracted. Excellent. Limit the volume on all devices. Jessica, brilliant. Stay hydrated is super important. On this stay hydrated comment, Emily, I went to the doctor a few years ago. I was feeling horrible. What was the first thing she asked? She asked, what's your stress level? Because 70% of the time that people go to the doctor, it's just pure stress symptoms. And then she asked me what? How hydrated are you? I failed both of those first tests before we did anything else. So yes, making sure you're hydrated is so important. Shayna, this is a really good point. She said take a shower, which sounds funny because you think like, who cares? I'm just rolling out of bed. But taking a shower can be super helpful because you are getting into this pattern of kind of rolling out of bed. It's not a Saturday. Tell your body, hey, we're getting up, we're moving, we're at work. Taking a shower can be a great reset. Even deleting certain apps from your phones, which many of you are saying. Brilliant. So as we're look at all this group chat is flying. I love it. Think about for a minute as you scroll through this, look at all these other people who are in this same boat as you. We are all figuring this out. If nothing else from being on this webinar, I hope that you can feel the camaraderie here. We're in it together. Here's the bottom line with distractions. It's not even about how much time you spend working. It's about your focus. More than how much time you spend working, your focus will determine your productivity. We decided in our house that it will be a win if we have 4 uninterrupted hours of work a day. 4. Not 7, not 8. We're like, hey, we're going to cut it in half and be realistic. But in those 4 hours, what can we do to create focus? And there's a lot of ways to do that. If you have kids, there's a lot of ways to be creative. Anybody with kids or dogs, really. We've got extra chewies for the dogs. Talk about it in the group chat as we're talking about this. It's not about how much time you spend working in the next 2 weeks. It's about how well you can focus and actually get things done. All right, the next thing that will help you get through this day is over-communicating. Over-communicating. What channels and tools are being used by your organization right now? Maybe your whole team said, hey, we're going to try Slack out. Hey, we're going to try whatever, texting each other, whatever it is, depending on the size of your team. How can you make whatever tools they're talking about, how can you make them easy to access for yourself? Maybe it's keeping a tab open for Slack or putting the Slack app on your phone. Make sure that it's easy for you to get to the tools and that you're seeing the notifications. It could be as simple as you don't have the Slack app and everybody's talking on it and you're going to look like you're out of the picture, even if you're working your tail off. The other thing is this, whoever you talk to most, it's probably going to be more helpful to set up like a 5-minute standing call. I would recommend morning. Hey, Sam, great to hear from you. Let's talk about what we're doing today. Do a quick 5-minute lunch check-in and then a 4 p.m. check-in. These quick calls, this is why. Your voice is way faster than what you can type. You can type about half the speed that you can talk. So texting ends up being slower than voice, and the worst part is that you lose context. Without any vocal cues or body language, you're going to lose context of what somebody's saying. So they might say something like, this project isn't, imagine you get an email that says, this project isn't right, call me. Right? Versus somebody calling you and be like, hey, this project doesn't look right. Can we talk? Totally different. Let's not send each other down anxiety hills on a whole nother level. Don't be afraid, millennials. I'm looking at you because we hate picking up the phone. But don't be afraid to jump on your phone and do a quick phone call. It'll probably save you time. Here's the other tip that goes with this, because I know a lot of us on LinkedIn, there's a lot of chatter about us losing our jobs. So if you're afraid of that, send your boss an email, an old school email every day, so there's like a paper trail that has a wrap up of what you worked on, what you accomplished each day. It'll be a great reassurance to him or her. Even if they don't take the time to read it, they're going to see ping, 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 ping. Oh, you're checking in. You're telling me what you got done. So even if they don't have time to read it, it reassures you because you're over communicating. Here's what I did. And it also helps you see, I really am accomplishing things, right? So that's one of the best things you can do in terms of mitigating risk of the perception of what you're doing at home. When people think like, oh, Lindsay hasn't said anything, I wonder if she's actually working from home. If you got an email from her every day saying what she did, that'd be a lot harder to believe. So some of this is managing perception when we're not in person. Tell me about this water cooler concept. Sam, can you tell me what they're talking about with water cooler concept?
Yeah, I love it. So their team has a watercolor Zoom if they're in between tasks or doing something that doesn't necessarily require like intense concentration, but they're still online. They're jumping in and chatting and keeping updated with people. So kind of like creating that office feeling of like, hey, what's going on or how are you doing?
Oh, I love that.
Between the focus tasks. I love it. Yeah.
So there's like a Slack stream that just says water cooler.
It's a Zoom. So
it's a
instead
Zoom.
of just being text.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love it. Good thinking, y'all. Okay, the next one is to socialize and connect. Okay, I don't mean this like, hey, try to keep your friends. Several of you said, I am afraid of loneliness. And here's the thing, we are completely social creatures. I don't know if you remember this because this is a summer picture, but when you put us in the wild, this is what we actually look like. We look a lot like these fellas, right? Or we look like this, we sit around, we like to be together. We are social creatures. You're a herd of horses, okay? And one thing that happens, I used to do prison ministry, and we would ask people, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen to you in prison? And you all know what their answer was. Solitary confinement. Well, guess what? The United States, we're all in that spot right now. So it's not humane. What we're going through right now is not humane to the way that humans work. We are social creatures. If you take one of us, if you take a social creature and pull it out of its pack and expect it to live alone, it's very common that that creature will end up with anxiety and depression. So know that you will have to make that extra effort to socialize, and you need it for your well-being. It's not just like, wouldn't it be nice to connect with my friends? Please take the time to do it. It can look like this. Make time to FaceTime your loved ones. If your parents, like I know my parents, my dad was a firefighter, his lungs are all scarred up. You better believe that we're checking in with him and making sure he's okay and listening, you know, even when he's talking, listen to his voice to see if he sounds healthy. Think about the people in your life that recharge you, that help you feel loved. 3 minutes, give them a buzz. Even just saying, I just need to hear your voice. This is a freaky time. Everyone will understand that. This is your permission slip to be that type of person to reach out. Also, reach out to your team. If you're not used to like having to check in on their well-being per se, actually you could ask them that question. Like, I can't see you. I don't know what you're looking like. I'm wondering, how are you feeling? If you're the kind of boss that's like, I'm not really a touchy-feely boss, this will just help people feel like you really do care about them. It's just more verbal than it used to be. Another thing you do is just send funny videos. We got to get through this, okay? There's funny memes out there. I know some of you that can hit sensitivities around, like, you know, if you have a family member that's sick. I understand that. See what you can do to add some humor and levity. I find the best way to do that is obviously the next point. Send dog and cat dress-up pictures. You cannot go wrong. It is not offensive, okay? I'll send you all some later. You can also Amazon Prime a gift if you feel comfortable with that. I know, again, that's an area where we're all kind of, I would love to actually hear what you think about Amazon Priming a gift in the chat. Tell me, are you comfortable with that? Do you think it's morally okay to do? Will you guys respond? I'm really curious what you think. Ultimately, it's important to connect to yourself. Check in with how you're feeling. I don't know if you saw Brene Brown last night. It's probably still on her Instagram. She did like a little, she called it a church service. I thought it was sweet. But she said on that live, like over 10,000 people watching, that she was feeling judgmental towards people that weren't following the rules right now. So take a minute. I put a feelings wheel up here. I love this thing. Look at it. Make a lot of sense if many of us are in this area where fear is high, and then we break it down. Am I afraid? Is it anxiety? Is it insecurity? Do I feel worried? Do I feel inferior? Do I feel alienated? Really get down to that outside level. It's important that you are aware of how you're feeling right now, because we're all going to be our own best friends for a hot minute, right? So be aware of how you feel. Even the Queen, Brene Brown, shared with us that she was feeling judgmental. And we all, to the degree that we can communicate our feelings verbally, will feel more connected. So I want to do a little test with us this morning, or this, whatever it is, afternoon. Take a minute. Which word on the outside are you feeling right now? Let's just take kind of a heat map of the room right now. Kevin feels vulnerable. That makes perfect sense. What else are you feeling? Overwhelmed, anxious, worried, overwhelmed, inadequate, worried, open, overwhelmed, frightened, yes, isolated, yes, powerless, uncertain, powerless, perplexed, overwhelmed. Y'all hear a pattern? We are freaked out. Most of us are really in the fear zone of this whole thing. So I want you to really take a look at what everybody's saying. It's not just you. We're all going to figure this out together. You are not alone. In the strangest way, we are all having a similar experience. So use this wheel with your kids. If your kids are home, somebody said my husband hates it. See what you can do with it. Let's get creative. But even with your team, taking that extra step and sharing how you're feeling will help us feel close during a time when we're not actually able to see each other. Okay, this last one, I can't stress this last one enough. 5 things that'll help you get through your day. Move your body. Here's why. There is a study done, this has been done several times, but this isn't me just saying research says. This is a real study that was done in Australia. Women that were over 50, they studied how long they sat and if they did physical activity. So women who sat for 7+ hours a day did not have physical activity, so didn't have like the basic 150 minutes of moderate activity. If they sat for more than 7 hours and didn't have any physical activity, look at this. They were 3 times as likely to develop depression symptoms. 3 times as women who sat 4 or less hours a day and met basic exercise guidelines. Can we please start a revolution? Some people say that sitting is the new smoking. Can we please start a revolution where we get up and move? If you're sitting for more than 4 hours a day, which when I read this, I was doing this research this week, and I was like, oh my gosh, think of what of a difference it would make if I actually just got up more and got exercise. This is as simple, and we're talking, I'm not thinking like, hey everybody, this is your chance. Let's get marathon ready. We're just saying actually the best thing for your body is to get 150 minutes a week. That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week of moderate activity. So we're talking walking, walk your puppies, swim. Swimming might be kind of gross right now, but you can walk your dogs, you can walk yourself, right? Taking time, 30 minutes a day to get out and move. Fresh air can be super helpful for our mood as well. So taking that time will reduce your likeliness of dealing with depression. Here's the other thing. Truly try to stay low to moderate exercise. It lowers your cortisol. It helps lower your stress hormones, and cortisol is known to turn off your immune system. So if you're afraid of getting sick, do your best to take care of your body, keep your stress lower, your cortisol lower, get some moderate exercise. Okay, let's do this. I gave you 5 different behaviors you can do. I'm curious, what behavior can you easily adapt? What behavior are you like, oh yeah, I can go for a walk like right after this? And what do you think will be the hardest to adapt? Take a minute. We want to hear from you in our chat. This is all about us staying connected. Yeah, a lot of people are saying shower. That's awesome. I think I can get in the shower and scrub a dub. What else? Moving. Some of you have some rough weather this week, so that would be hard to get fresh air. Katie, to your point, see what else we can do. Outline a schedule. Yes, that makes sense. Creating a schedule is easy to do. It can be. Moving. Yes. Over communicating. Yep. I love this. Oh, Marie made a great point. Beachbody on Demand, which is banging, is free for the next couple of weeks. Thank you, Beachbody. If you like, and Beachbody, by the way, has like 1,000 different workouts, so you don't have to do like the shred 45 one. Just do the yoga one, you know? It doesn't have to be too hard. This is great. Which do you think will be the hardest? I'm curious. Hard to stick to one thing at a time. Absolutely. That makes sense. Single tasking. Kathy, yes. Single tasking is a challenge, isn't it? Not multitasking. A lot of people are saying not multitasking. That makes sense. Us high achievers, too, we've been trained to do this, and all of a sudden, we have this very busy, distracted world, and all of a sudden we're saying, you know what, let's just stop everything and just do one thing at a time. It will be difficult to do that. One thing that's helped me learn how to be single task is first I'll go to an area where those other things don't follow me. So if I'm reading a book, my laptop has to be closed. Does anybody else have that happen? I will not read that book if my laptop is open. And my phone has to be on airplane mode or ringer off. So sometimes we just need to work on our environment to help us do that single task. And if this is a muscle that you're worried about flexing, try 15 minutes at a time. At this point, this is a confession from a personal development coach. I have to do 15-minute increments for reading. Because when I'm like, I'm going to sit down and read this book, I'm going to read the whole thing. Literally, I make it about 4 minutes. So you might have to stretch yourself too and just block out time so you don't feel overwhelmed. Like, I'm going to read for 2 hours? Just try 15 minutes, see what it feels like. We're just chipping away at these days. Awesome. Here's the other thing I wanted to make sure to share. You actually may really enjoy this process. If you can prove that you're efficient, that you can communicate clearly, and you are responsible for your time, this way of working may be banging for you. You might love it. You might love the freedom that you have, the flexibility that you have. From a national perspective and from a generational perspective, millennials do want to work remote, and this will continue this trend of freedom and flexibility in your time and in your location. That was trending anyways. Go back to remote work. 25% lower turnover rate for companies that support remote work. So as companies think about retention strategies, it'll be common that they'll be like, we should probably offer a remote option. 30% of employees would change, 37% would change jobs to have more flexibility in location. And telecommuting has tripled since 1996. Half of millennials are already freelancing and doing their own thing. So if you're like, hey, remote work, this is the pits, man, I hate this. I totally get it. It may not be for you. If you lead a team, this may be in your future anyways. Teammates, it will be natural for people after this experience. Coronavirus kind of shoved us into it, but it will be natural after this time for people to want to work remote after they figure it out and after we're not all worried about a pandemic, right? So remote work, we can decide right now if we're going to be a victim to this experience or if we're going to do what we can to make the most of it. We can learn something about ourselves. We can get the rest that we've needed, right? We are all having to really slow down and live differently. So I'm curious, what is something that you learned today that you're going to do different? And here's the other piece that I'm really curious about. What would be helpful to talk about next? We can tell by the amount of people that have been on this call, by the amount of people that registered, that this matters to all of us. And so we're coming back on. I'm going to be back on Friday, 12:30, same time. We will send you an invite, but we want to know what would be helpful to talk about. I've got this week, all my events as a keynoter are canceled. So I have this week to do research and to bring you meaningful information from a career coach perspective. So what would be helpful to talk about on Friday? I'd love to hear both what you learned and what would be helpful to talk about. Both will help us continue to shape and serve you well during this weird time. Friday will be free as well, obviously. We really are here to serve you and to help you during this very wonky time. As somebody who just happens to coach people who do remote work, I have an idea, but I want to hear directly from you about what would be helpful. So let's keep talking about this. I would love to hear, does anybody want to jump on and share, either ask a question or share your feedback live. We'd love to be able to do that. How can we do that, Sam? Can you make this possible?
Yeah, if you want to message me, so I'm Samantha Avanzino. If you look on the chat, if you want to message me, and then I can let you know if there's a bunch of people that want to speak up, and we can have each one unmute at one at a time. It's probably a little
great. Who wants to jump on and share something they learned or something that they would maybe like coaching on, maybe where you feel stuck? My time is yours, and we're here to take care of you. Me and Sam want to make sure that you have what you need during this wonky time. Anybody want to chat?
Yeah, Megan Weinstein.
Awesome.
Weinstein, do you want to unmute and talk about your thoughts?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Yes.
Thanks, Lindsay. I enjoy listening to you, so this is awesome.
Good, I'm glad.
I just had a question. My position has kind of taken a back seat, and not to be selfish here or anything. I'm in marketing, and hold on anything moving forward, any sponsorships or partnerships. And so of not at a place where I'm too busy, it's that I don't feel like I'm busy enough or that I'm helping enough or doing enough. It's like I'm just sitting here like cleaning off my desktop on my computer.
Yes.
And then I feel badly that I'm not being creative to offer them any like creative solutions or, so that's kind of where I'm at in my work from home journey.
That makes a ton of sense, Megan. That really does, because I think a lot of us, you're almost like a stop hold, right? Yeah, and Linda, other people are like, yep, I'm with Megan on this one. I don't know what to do with myself because I literally cannot do my job right now. Megan, tell me, what are some other strengths that when you first got this job that you shared about who you were? What did you share in your interviews about who you were that helped you get this job in the first place?
Mainly my communication skills, being around people. I mainly facilitate partnerships with our clients. So, and then also with everything that's going on, my social media skills, but my company being privately owned are a little hesitant to do any sort of big social media campaigns or social media postings about this because we don't want to be too, we don't want to spread any fear or anything like that. So those are kind of my strengths, which I don't feel like I can really utilize right now. And I emailed them an idea this morning and they responded to it and they were really great about it. And we're going to have a call about it. But I just, I don't know, I've just kind of been sitting here.
Yeah. How big is your team?
We have, at the corporate level, we have about 12 to 15 people, but our entire company is about 1,000 and it's national.
Okay.
It's a national company, so.
So with your 12 to 15 people, because you're right, 1,000 people, there's a lot of other people that are responsible for them. In your 12 to 15 people, even in your teammates, what do you think you bring to the table when you're all in person? What's something that you bring to the table when you're in person together?
Honestly, I think levity, actually, if I'm being
levity.
I'm kind of the comedic relief in a way to some
I
people.
love that. Yes, Megan. And more than ever, we need some comedy, right?
Right.
So think about if your strength is communication and the thing that you bring to your team is levity, so there's connection, there's laughter. What could you do even this week to bring value to your team? I hear what you're saying, that like the clients, it's a little messy with the clients right now. What's something you could do with your team?
We have I don't know if you've ever heard, you probably have of Yammer. It's the internal kind of Facebook for companies.
Yeah.
So I started posting today, kind of took the initiative to start talking to our employees and asking them to share some of their ideas with me. And
yep, that's great.
So
you can still
like
be creative.
Yeah.
Yes. See what you can bring back. If for whatever reason, and this goes for everybody, if you're like, hey, my clients are kind of either out of the office themselves or I've had to pause my conversations with them, we can always turn to our team and take care of our team in new and fresh ways. So the fact that you came on this call and you made sure like, hey, let me see what else I can be doing. Let's try the internal water cooler. What else can we be doing? I think it's really smart what you're saying to help your team bring value and levity to your team during this time. giving everybody a little bit extra attention that's curated for them, like, hey, Bill, how's your cat? You know, how's your cat holding up? Any place that you can make sure that people feel seen, heard, and understood, that'll be really helpful during this time. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Who else? Sam,
Awesome.
You got somebody else for me?
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple people that are just figuring out kids and work and how to help them and how to manage them. So I think that's something we've talked about doing another webinar on. But even some people are like, will you come do this for my company, or will you come do this for the high school or for kids?
Yes.
They need to hear this message too.
Yes. So we are.
That.
That's great. Sam knows this. So Sam and I are working on doing a version for this for kids that are out of school from college all the way down. It'll be aimed at college students who have been like kicked out of their dorms and have to finish school outside of that, which is hard. We've got kids at home who are, we're having to figure out how to do a schedule with them. We're going to speak directly to them in a separate webinar. We will send you information on that. Some of you are like, please don't make me do this with my kids. So I will be happy to entertain your kids. I'll bring my dogs to that one. We'll have a ton of fun and make sure that they understand what they need, both emotionally, practically, and productivity-wise, to be able to get through this time. So we'll set up a separate call for that because that will look a little different. What was the other thing that you said, Sam? And yes, you can share this with your team. We'll get you a recording so you can have your team look at it too.
Yeah. There was a great question. Someone was saying if there isn't much to do from home, so for just some of those roles that they can't get it done, whether it's sales or other things, what are maybe some skills that they could build for when they get back?
Brilliant. Who asked that question?
Kathy Foudy. Yeah, I love that question.
Okay. Kathy asked, what are some skills, if I have like nothing to do, what are some skills I can build? I would really encourage you, look at, if you have a little space, dream out for yourself and you're not too stressed. Well, who do I want to be in the next 5 years? And what skills will that take? The other piece that we're seeing, obviously, technology is becoming a part of our life and our livelihood. So I know I've got clients right now who are saying, I'm going to take some, I think it's like a Google AdWords class. I'm going to take some algorithm classes if you're in marketing, online marketing, things like that. There's so much free education where you would be adding value right back to your current job. It doesn't necessarily mean that like, hey, I'm going to figure out a new layer, I'm going to build my skills, I'm going to ditch, but what could I bring back to my organization? What skill sets could make a big difference inside of my team? Even if it's not technical, even if you want to take some emotional intelligence classes. If you do want to say, hey, I've got some space, let me build out my dream career and figure out what steps I need to take to get there. That's awesome. The other thing is Andrea Brummett, who is also a consultant inside organizations, she said this is a good time to check to see if your company has any internal projects they've been holding off on because of limited or over-committed internal resources. That's a great way to contribute in a win-win scenario. So that's another thing you could do is reach out and say, hey, what else are we trying to get done that doesn't take a ton of training that I could make happen while I'm at home? I love the idea, though. Your answer was actually in the question. Look at what skills would bring you to the next level of your career that you're excited about that you could be spending time on. There's so much education out there that's free and available to you right now. More than ever before. You want to take one more?
Yeah, we have some other people saying LinkedIn Learning is an option, so some people are able to
LinkedIn Learning
their work. So
yep.
That is great.
Let's talk about the other sources. If everybody can chat, where else can you be learning? What other online platforms are there? There's Lynda. What else is there, Sam? LinkedIn is awesome. EDX, Udemy, Coursera, Grow with Google, YouTube University, Salesforce, Trailhead, Thinkific. You could learn, Simone said, hey, why don't you learn Excel? Brilliant. Salesforce Trailhead, a lot of people are saying that. Jenny Banner, hey Jenny, she said Skillshare's 60-day trials are free. There are tons of places where you could be maximizing this and getting the most out of your time if you don't have much to do, if your job's at a pause. Let's take one more question as we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, I saw some throughout the whole webinar of just how can you stay from going into the anxiety scarcity mode? Like we all know that means we won't be productive, but how do we feel like we're dipping into it? How do we get out so that we can still get our job done?
That's really good. Whoever asked that, a bunch of people are asking that. Anxiety scarcity mode. We are all going to have moments where we feel crushed by what the heck is happening. That would be normal. So the first thing you can do is normalize and watch your thoughts. Like, ooh, I've been anxious for 2 days now, or I'm going into scarcity mode now. There's a couple things you can do. I would really encourage you, I know this would be an interesting time to reach out for therapy, but there's a lot of therapy online right now where you could get active support for yourself. A coach, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation with you if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. We're also going to continue, if you can get into a rhythm where you know, like, I'm going to see you on Friday. We're going to be back here at 12:30 on Friday with more content, more interaction. Get a rhythm for yourself so that you don't spiral into overwhelm abyss. Being able to keep your body in rhythm will help you from dipping in. We are all like 3 things away from feeling totally crushed. That's just true. If you're too isolated, if you're not feeling well, if you get behind in work and feel isolated from your team, it's not going to take much. We are all like little fragile little baby birds right now. So we've got to take care of each other and make sure that we have a rhythm in place so that that can happen. Rhythm and routine, Denise said, we both say that. Rhythm and routine will help you. And Mallory, hey Mallory, one thing that you said, I need to find a balance between staying informed and terrifying myself unnecessarily. Totally. I was laying in bed this morning, watching the news, and if you can find 1 or 2 people that have a balanced view and only listen to the CDC and listen to people who are credible, that will help you not feel as overwhelmed. We've all seen how many fake news memes there are or different ideas about how to handle this. If you can go anywhere, this is a joke. Don't go anywhere, you're gonna die. Like, we've seen it all over the map. So as much as you can just listen to credible people and then get off of social media, I do think that will help our anxiety, because whatever we think about, we create in our lives. So if we're thinking too much about this, we are going to overwork our systems when we don't need to. So, go ahead.
The one other one that seems to stand out is people talking about how to separate work from personal when we're home all day. There's not that like natural 5 p.m. we're over. So
that's right.
Thoughts on how do you create those boundaries?
Work and personal. How do we separate those two when all the boundaries are blurred? Here's a couple things. If you can put time pockets in for yourself, like, hey, I am going to work at 9 o'clock, and just even change your shirt. Like, you don't have to change your whole outfit. See how much your clothes impact you. To be honest, I'm going to show everybody right now. I am still in sweatpants, right? Let me show you. Okay, can everybody see my sweatpants, Sam? Can you see them? Okay. Even if you just change your shirt, do your hair, put makeup on, whatever it takes for you, put your reading glasses on, have some things that you will continually do to keep your body and your mind in work mode. I know that some of us are dealing with that. So think about what can you do that you would normally do at work. Maybe you have a water bottle that you always bring to work. Keep using that water bottle. Don't drink out of a glass. The way that our brain works, it has an emotional tag around everything that we do. So that's why people say don't work from your bed, because your bed has a tag for relaxing. So if you sit in bed and work, your brain's like, wait, am I relaxing right now or working? As much as you can, keep some consistency and go to a certain place where you work every day. This is the spot that I work at. In my shift, like Lisa Mitchell was saying, she has like a makeshift office right now. We have a makeshift office. We just moved, so we have like 2 pieces of furniture. So we have a makeshift office that we go to, and when we're done, we clear it and we reset for the day. As much as you can create spaces, knowing that everything that you have is a tag, your brain decides what it means, and it wants to do that thing. Your bed is a place to relax. Your couch is a place to relax, right? See how much you can create some differentiation for yourself. The other piece that's hard to do at 5 o'clock or whenever you're done with your work is to shut it down. If you can shut it down, play. Go play, be outside, move around, change your physicality as much as you can when it's time to be done. That can look different for everybody, but making sure to change your physicality is a big part of shifting out of work mode. There's a great book Lisa Mitchell talked about, 2 Atomic Habits. There's some great ideas where you can grab from Atomic Habits too. Okay, hey, this was awesome. I'm so glad that you all were here. You're going to keep hearing from us. We'll send you a follow-up email, and if you found this valuable and you want to come back on Friday at 12:30, feel free. My email is just my name, Lindsay@lindsaybacardo.com. You can also just message me through LinkedIn or however you found me. you can feel free to just message me. We want to collect as much information as you want to give us. If you can tell us what you want to learn next, that would be super helpful so that we can prepare for Friday and bring you quality content quickly and efficiently. I'm so glad you were here. It says so much about you too, that you took time to be on this call and to learn something. I know that hopefully all of you took something valuable away that you can be using this week. And then, hey, we're going to catch you right at the end of the week to see how it went. Anybody else, if you have any thoughts or questions, you know where to find us. Thanks for all the kind comments in chat. I see you. I see what you're saying. It means a lot to me to be in your world during this really wonky time. I want to just share with you, here's all my contact info. Let's stay connected. Feel free to snap a picture of this. You can always text me too. That's a really easy way to get a response from me. Social media, email. Let's stay connected. I want to keep this conversation going. We are all going to make it through this week. It's probably going to get weirder. It's going to get weirder before Friday. So come back on Friday, reconnect. Look at all these amazing people who came to this call to get support and to give support. It's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad I got to be a part of it with you. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Friday. Stay healthy. Take care of yourself. Love your kids. We will get through this together. Thanks so much.